Welcome to National Liberty Alliance's weekly call. Today is Monday, January 5th, 2025. We broadcast live every Monday from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. If you're listening over Rumble or YouTube and you would like to ask a question or make a comment, you can go to nationallibertyalliance.org and click on a weekly call for instructions to join us live by phone, app, or browser. If anybody would like to email a question, you can send your questions to questions, that's plural, questions at nationallibertyalliance.org. Please support our business partners. You can find their banners on the right side of our website, which the proceeds go to support NLA's effort to save our republic. Also, please support NLA by donating $5 a month or more. Click on the donation tab on the top right side of our website. Okay, we're going to pick up with our scripture reading where we left off last week. Let's see, we're in reading 1 Corinthians, and we're in chapter 7. So, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, read by Alexander Scorby.
Chapter 7. Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence, and likewise also the wife unto the husband. The wife hath not power of her own body, but the husband. And likewise also the husband hath not power of his own body, but the wife. Defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinency. But I speak this by permission, and not of commandment. For I would that all men were even as I myself. But every man hath his proper gift of God, one after this manner, and another after that. I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I, but if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. And unto the married I command, yet not I but the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband. But, and if she depart, let her remain unmarried, or be reconciled to her husband. And let not the husband put away his wife. But to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother hath a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. And the woman which hath an husband that believeth not, and if he be pleased to dwell with her, let her not leave him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under bondage in such cases. But God hath called us to peace. For what knowest thou, O wife, whether thou shalt save thy husband? Or how knowest thou, O man, whether thou shalt save thy wife? But as God hath distributed to every man, as the Lord hath called every one, so let him walk. And so ordain I in all churches. Is any man called being circumcised? Let him not become uncircumcised. Is any called in uncircumcision? Let him not be circumcised. Circumcision is nothing, and uncircumcision is nothing, but the keeping of the commandments of God. Let every man abide in the same calling wherein he was called. Art thou called being a servant? Care not for it. But if thou mayest be made free, use it rather. For he that is called in the Lord being a servant is the Lord's freeman. Likewise also he that is called being free is Christ's servant. Ye are bought with a price. Be not ye the servants of men. Brethren, let every man wherein he is called, therein abide with God. Now concerning virgins, I have no commandment of the Lord, yet I give my judgment as one that hath obtained mercy of the Lord to be faithful. I suppose, therefore, that this is good for the present distress. I say that it is good for a man so to be. Art thou bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loosed. Art thou loosed from a wife? Seek not a wife. But and if thou marry, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marry, she hath not sinned. Nevertheless, such shall have trouble in the flesh. But I spare you. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoiced not, and they that buy as though they possessed not, and they that use this world as not abusing it. For the fashion of this world passeth away. But I would have you without carefulness. He that is unmarried careth for the things that belong to the Lord, how he may please the Lord. But he that is married careth for the things that are of the world, how he may please his wife. There is difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman careth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married careth for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. And this I speak for your own profit. Not that I may cast a snare upon you, but for that which is comely, and that ye may attend upon the Lord without distraction. But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age, and need so require, let him do what he will, he sinneth not, let them marry. Nevertheless, he that standeth steadfast in his heart, having no necessity, but hath power over his own will, and hath so decreed in his heart that he will keep his virgin, doeth well. So then he that giveth her in marriage doeth well, but he that giveth her not in marriage doeth better. The wife is bound by the law as long as her husband liveth. But if her husband be dead, she is at liberty to be married to whom she will, only in the Lord. But she is happier if she so abide, after my judgment. And I think also that I have the Spirit of God.
Okay, Jan, do we have any questions tonight?
John, we do not have any questions at all tonight.
Okay, all right. All right, anybody wants to get into the queue is open. It's *6 and a 1 if you're on a phone, and should be a button if you're on an app or a browser. And I was thinking, taking a look tonight at the Monroe Doctrine. It's a pretty short doctrine, at least the portion that we have here. And it's, of course, written by President James Monroe. And this was the 7th annual message to Congress. So we're going to take a look at that because I think it's relevant for today, of course, and what's going on here, particularly in South America. So we read, at the proposal of the Russian imperial government made through the minister of the emperor residing here, a full power and instructions have been transmitted to the minister of the United States at St. Petersburg to arrange by amicable negotiation the respective rights and interests of the two nations on the northwest coast of this continent. A similar proposal has been made by His Imperial Majesty to the government of Great Britain, which has likewise been acceded to. The government of the United States has been desirous by this friendly proceeding of manifesting the great value which they have invariably attached to the friendship of the Emperor and the solitude to cultivate the best understanding with his government. In the discussions to which this interest has given rise, and in the arrangements by which they may terminate the occasion, has been judged proper for asserting as a principle in which the rights and the interests of the United States are involved, that the American continents, by the free and independent condition which they have assumed and maintained, are henceforth not to be considered as subjects for future colonization by any European powers. It was stated at the commencement of the last session that a great effort was then making in Spain and Portugal to improve the condition of the people of those countries, and that it appeared to be conducted with extraordinary moderation. It need scarcely be remarked that the results have been so far very different from what was then anticipated. Of events in the quarter of the globe with which we have so much intercourse and from which we desire our origin, we have always been anxious and interested spectators. The citizens of the United States cherish sentiments the most friendly in favor of the liberty and happiness of their fellow man on that side of the Atlantic. In the wars of the European powers in matters relating to themselves, we have never taken any part, nor does it comport with our policy to do so. It is only when our rights are invaded or seriously menaced that we resent injuries or make preparation for our defense. With the movements in this hemisphere, we are of necessity more immediately connected, and by cause which must be obvious to all enlightened and impartial observers, the political system of the Allied powers is essentially different in this respect from that of America. This difference proceeds from that which exists in their respective governments, and to the defense of our own, which has been achieved by the loss of so much blood and treasure, and matured by the wisdom of their most enlightened citizens, and under which we have enjoyed unexampled felicity, whose this whole nation is devoted. Felicity, this whole nation is devoted. We owe it, therefore, to candor and to amicable relations existing between the United States and those powers to declare that we should consider any attempt on their part to extend their systems to any portion of this hemisphere as dangerous to our peace and safety. With the existing colonies or dependencies of any European powers, we have not interfered and shall not interfere. But with the governments who have declared their independence and maintained it, and whose independence we have on great consideration and on just principles acknowledged, we could not view any interposition for the purpose of oppressing them or controlling in any other manner their destiny by any European power in any light than as manifestation of an unfriendly disposition toward the United States. In the war between those new governments and Spain, we declare our neutrality at the time of their recognition, and to this we have adhered, and shall continue to adhere, provided no charge shall occur which in the judgment of the competent authorities of the government shall make a corresponding change on the part of the United States indispensable to their security. The late events in Spain and Portugal show that Europe is still unsettled. Of this important fact, no stronger proof can be adduced than that the Allied powers should have thought it proper, on any principle satisfactory to themselves, to have interposed by force into the internal concerns of Spain. To what extent such interposition may be carried on the same principle is a question in which all independent powers whose governments differ from theirs are interested, even those most remote, and surely none of them more so than the United States. Our policy in regard to Europe, which was adopted at an early stage of the wars which have so long agitated that quarter of the globe, nevertheless remains the same, which is not to interfere in the internal concerns of any of its powers, to consider the government de facto as the legitimate government for us, to cultivate friendly relations with it, and to preserve those relations by a frank, firm, and manly policy, meeting in all instances the just claims of every power, submitting to injuries from none. But in regard to these continents, circumstances are eminently and conspicuously different, it is impossible that the Allied powers should extend their political system to any portion of either continent without endangering our peace and happiness. Nor can anyone believe that our southern brethren, if left to themselves, would adopt it of their own accord. It is equally impossible, therefore, that we should behold such interposition in any form with indifference. If we look to the comparative strength and resources of Spain and those new governments, for their distance from each other, it must be obvious that she can never subdue them. It is still the true policy of the United States to leave the parties to themselves in hope that other powers will pursue the same course. Okay, so that was the Monroe Doctrine. It's been pretty much talked about from time to time over the past weeks, actually. And I thought it would be proper to kind of read that, get a little education. Clearly the position of the United States, which still holds, and of course Trump is holding up, is that other countries are not to interpose with anything going on our continent, which connects us to South America, of course. And that's exactly what's going on right now down South America concerning those who have interposed themselves onto the governments down there, and thereby taking peace and causing problems in the whole hemisphere. Okay, let's see. By the way, we have the queue open. I did see someone in the queue, but there's no one in there now, so anybody wants to get into the queue, it's a *6 and a 1. And if you're on an app or a browser, there should be a button. Okay, let's see. Let me close this document up. A couple of things I want to look at. I think this is it here. Yeah. You know, it's important to really get into history. We deal with a lot of history here at National Liberty Alliance, of course, concerning our founding fathers, particularly focusing in on the law and our political problems and situations today and what has led up to them, and of course the problems we have in the courts. But it is important for people to really know history, and I'm going to talk about a few books that are very, very affordable that people should really consider getting and reading. It's been a life changer, some of these books that I have read, filled in a lot of gaps, a lot of, matter of fact, I'm thinking of some of these books to reread again. The 5,000 year leap. Let's see, is that what? Yeah, the 5,000 year leap is a really interesting book and talks about really how America was made and how we have really advanced ourselves technologically, so we can, and in many ways, become very, very, blessed and powerful here in the United States. So anyway, this is a book, I know this is up on NCCS. You can purchase all these books. They're very cheap, very affordable. This particular book is $14.95, but there is a couple places where it's even cheaper because they also sell some used books that they say is in pretty good condition for half price, I think it is. And so again, you can find this at nccs.net, which is the National Center for Constitutional Studies. And of course, there's a phone number you can order by the phone and talk with these people and so on. I'm sure there's a way to buy through the email. I've purchased my books quite some time ago. Now, a really great book. All these books are great. The Making of America. Okay. Now that book's $29.95, but they have some that are scratched and has a dent in the book, and you can buy those books as they last for $10 each. There are some other books that I really suggest strongly that people should be reading. Here's one right here, and these are 3 books combined. This is The Real Thomas Jefferson, The Real Benjamin Franklin, and The Real George Washington. You can buy that as a group of books, and you can also get some that are a little damaged if you want to, cheaper than that. I'm pretty sure I saw that down here. Maybe it's on the next page. Let's see. Okay, normally the George Washington, the Real George Washington is $29.95. Thomas Jefferson, $22.95 on its own, of course. Let's see what else. Maybe it's on this page. George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, the same thing. Now here's some books that have been, I guess a little damage on. If you want to buy it cheaper, you can buy it for $5 for the Thomas Jefferson, $10 for the George Washington, and $7 for the Thomas Jefferson. So what's that? That's like $22 in opposed to $56. So anyway, I really suggest that people should purchase those books and read through them, because it'll really give you the sense of real history that we never learned. I mean, I was amazed by the things that when I read in these books. I really enjoyed the book, The Real Thomas Jefferson, conversations he had in his days, letters that he exchanged with others, things that he accomplished, and very, very interesting stories in there by individuals back in that time. So they're going back into history and really finding out who these people really are, and it's a miracle really that all of these people have come together at a time period that created the United States of America, the land flowing with milk and honey, blessed beyond any other nation in the world, and even with the beating that we have been taking, some will say 40 years or 60 years, I'll say at least 100 years. We still survive, and we still reasonably a rich nation, and about to return back to our roots, I do believe. And I think this is the year that we're going to accomplish those goals. I know there's a strategy, something with South America. I didn't get into all the details, and I only heard a few little things here and there, but I'm going to try to dig this out a little bit. But there's something to do with the oil down in South America, what's going on with Venezuela, and also the other nations down there, the countries down in South America, and really on how we went from, the bankers worked this out with the oil, and they connected the dollar to the oil. And something here with South America, of course, which has a lot of oil, of course. We have plenty of oil under our land here, not only in South America, which of course is from other nations, but also here in the United States and even northward up into Alaska. So we are about to really start to make a lot of changes by disconnecting the dollar with the oil, by really bringing oil down, the price of oil down tremendously. And if I understand this correctly, because I've heard people talking about this, and again, I didn't catch the whole thing, but I have to look into it myself to get a better understanding. It's kind of checky for me, but we may hit under $1 a gallon here in 2026, and as we move towards that and break the dollar away, then we're going to return back to gold and silver. And Trump has been working on that for quite some time, and he was working on that in his other administration, early his first 4 years, and of course picked back up on it since he's been back in power again. So we have a lot of things that are going to happen, and once that disconnect takes place, I do believe that the dollar is going to return back to its power. And again, I've seen some documentaries or people talking different things about how it was back in the 50s and the 60s and how cheap things were. How one person, and this is true, I remember this myself back in those days with my parents. My father was the only one that worked. He was a blue-collar worker, and we lived very good. We had a 3-bedroom apartment in New York City in the Bronx. I remember a slice of pizza was 15 cents. I think a pizza pie was like $1.10. Everything was so much cheaper, where a whole family could live off of one salary, and that's true. And with that being said, my father, he would get 5 weeks vacation, and he worked on the rails, and we would spend 4 of those weeks at the shore, actually a little place called Ocean Grove, New Jersey. And we did that every year of my life until I went into the service. So that's the kind of, you can live really good on just, again, a blue-collar worker. And So people did a lot better. But I think we're about ready to go back to that. If we go back to gold and silver, we will return back to that. I've been telling people for years to save your change, don't get rid of it, because those dollars, those silver, well, even though there's no silver in them, I mean, sometimes there is. You pick them up from time to time. You know, but all the coins, they're U.S. Printed, you know. That has nothing to do. Those coins are not connected to the Federal Reserve. They're the ones that make the paper dollars. And coins have gone, you know, its power of buying power has changed what you could buy with a nickel or a dime or a quarter. And so the inflation keeps going and you pay more and more. But also sometimes inflation goes down, which hasn't done that for quite some time now. But when inflation goes down and the coins became more powerful again. So they fluctuated up and down. So I do think that they're going to maintain the regular coins and eventually move us back to silver coins. We still have copper. No, we don't have copper coins. They removed the copper out of the. I think they the penny. I'm pretty sure they removed the copper out of the penny. But what's stranger enough is the nickel is still the same makeup as it been since the beginning, going all the way back hundreds of years, 150, 200 years. So coins have a good value. I think it's going to. Anybody saving coins, it's going to have a lot of clout when the time comes and things get to where they should be, back under the Constitution. Not how long something like that's going to take. I don't even understand how that works, so I don't have any knowledge in that area. But from what I've heard in the past and what I've heard recently, and I think we're heading in for a huge change. So, you know, again, the people with Trump and his administration is working diligently, no doubt, we can see that, to make changes, not only here in America, but around the world, to be friends with others, to trade with them, and to not get involved in wars, to protect our continent, and which includes, of course, South America and North America and Canada. Even though we're different nations, nevertheless, we do appreciate peace, and there is a distance between us and Europe and so on. So anyway, I really do think if people read those books that I just mentioned, your understanding of America and who we are as a people and how we got here is going to be hugely changed, and how things should be and how things were and how we got here. And particularly those three books, Jefferson, Washington, and Franklin, gives us some really great insights on our founding fathers. And then, of course, all of the work that we have done here at National Liberty Alliance. I also would like to take the opportunity at the moment to talk about one of the most important books that I had written, and it's Government by Consent. So I do believe that's a book that should also be gotten along with those other books that I mentioned. So Government by Consent, and it's a very reasonable price, $39.95. But I'd like to just take a quick look at this, and then hopefully we'll get some people in the queue, because right now there's nobody in the queue. Again, it's *6 and 1 if you're on a phone, and button if you're on an Apple browser. But I'd like to look at this and read a little bit about this book. And I had written this a while back and put it up on Amazon in right here, July 22, so July 22nd, 2022. And I had it in soft, soft cover also. I think about a year earlier. I don't remember. But anyway, I originally it was put up there 2021. But anyway, I'd like to just read a little bit about the book and some of the reviews we have on this book. Hopefully it interests people to purchase this book, not only for their own knowledge, but also purchasing this book helps to support National Liberty Alliance. Everything I've been making on these books has gone into National Liberty Alliance. Occasionally there's some extra monies, and of course I take that out and pay my own personal bills. But, like for everyone else, it's pretty tough these days trying to make things, trying to get through with the prices of things. If we consider this gasoline prices, if they were to go down to below $1, that would be just totally outrageous. Everything would just dive down. And again, that is part of Trump's plan, I believe. I mean, again, I'm hearing a little talk about it, but I'm trying to connect the dots to get a better understanding. And, you receive information, but you need to verify it. But it does seem to be coming from good sources, so I think there's a lot to it. And maybe anybody that knows about these things more, maybe they can get into the queue and tell us some more about how this plan works and what Trump is actually doing. But anyway, let's read about this book. It's not that much information. It's pretty short. Government by Consent. This is a hardcover. It's an 8.5 by 11 book hardcover. It's a couple inches, or I forget how thick it is, an inch and something, maybe more than that. Let's see if I can see that. It's almost 1.5 inches thick, so it's a pretty meaty book. It's got a lot of information on it, and really this is really the main part of my research in Government by Consent. So, Government by Consent, hardcover. This book is the product of 12 years of research and the developing and organizing of National Liberty Alliance, with a mission to properly educate the people as to their heritage and how to have government by consent, by resurrecting committees of safety in every county in America. And only then will we the people, be able to reinstate our natural law republic and experience true liberty. So for what Trump is doing and his administration, and there are a lot of people also throughout our government that is really working together to bring us back and deal with the enemies, domestic as well as the ones foreign. Thomas Jefferson, the man who discovered America's freedom formula, wrote the foundation of our natural law via the Declaration of Independence, building America upon 8 ancient biblical principles that build sound government, and they are: 1. Self-evident truths that are so obvious, so moral, that it cannot be denied. 2. The laws of nature and of nature's God. The laws of nature, is observable, and through the laws of nature, through our heart we can see, and just through common sense, the laws of God is written in the hearts of men. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, and so on and so forth. So that's the laws of nature. That's observable, and also the laws of nature's God, and that's what we get straight from the Bible ultimately. Honor the Sabbath, and so on. Number 3, all men are created equal. Number 4, people are endowed by their Creator with unalienable rights. Number 5, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are paramount. Number 6, governments are instituted to secure these rights. Number 7, government derives their just powers from the consent of the governed. And number 8, the people have a duty to alter or to abolish government destructive of these ends. And we had been very, very close to that, and of course this is what Trump is doing right now. He is altering and abolishing certain parts of it and trying to bring it back to order. But it is up to the people to maintain it. It is up to the people to exercise their unalienable right of government by consent. And there's only one way you can do that. You have to get involved in your community. You have to get involved with a county committee of safety and do exactly what our founding fathers did, to be involved, to put statesmen into power, and to get rid of the politicking. We need to get involved in the political process without the politics. And if one day maybe America could become mature enough, we can get rid of political parties, and maybe we're at a position or a point in time where that might be possible. I mean, the Democratic Party is really pretty much almost imploded, and I do think this year it's going to be totally a dead party. And this would be an opportunity to get rid of political parties. I mean, why do we need political parties? People really think that we need political parties. I've heard people talk about this, people who seem to have should be having some knowledge. I mean, they're very knowledgeable people, and yet they think we have to have a political party. My question is why? Why do we have to have political parties? Because if there was no political party, no political parties, okay, because it's a right against the left. It's a left-right punch to the people. Parties will always be controlled by party bosses, and they'll always go astray. The hearts of men is desperately wicked. Who can know it? And so we will always go astray, and it's exactly what happens. People go in there to become, some position in political authority, and then they get lost. They get lost in the system, lost in the money, lost in the corruption. At least most of them do. And they become there for special interest groups and for their own bellies, to fill their own pockets. And they're not there for the people. But if there was no parties, and we elected our representatives to go to represent us, and there was no party bosses to force them and to tell them what they had to do and how they had to vote and how they had to stick together and how we got to knock out the Democrats and how we got to knock out the Republicans and start talking about all these things that they have no power, no authority to be talking about, and we the people are too ignorant to realize that, because we don't know the things that we're reading. We don't know about the Monroe Doctrine. We don't really know the Constitution. I mean, some of us, of course, are getting educated here, but all the people need to get educated. We need to educate our children. Our children have been so demoralized for so long, so destroyed for so long. They have not taken their pledge to the United States, as many of us have when we were children. I hear that they don't say the Pledge of Allegiance in school anymore. Maybe there are some schools that still do it, but it's become pretty rare. And, patriotism meant something. So, if our children remain lost, they're our future. And we're going to lose it all. So we have to educate our children. We have to educate ourselves. We have to execute our unalienable right of government by consent by starting or getting involved with a committee of safety, taking control of the government on the local end, right on up, all the way up to the federal side of things. We have representatives. We need to send the right people up there. We need to work with other individuals within our different counties within our state and from state to state to come together to make sure that these people are obedient to the Constitution and obey the Bill of Rights. And if you don't know the Constitution, if you don't know the powers and the authorities that we the people ordained and established and gave to these people that control us on the federal level, and the same thing on the state level, and even on the local level, if we don't know these things, how can we know when they're breaking the law? How can we know when they're stepping outside of their authority? And when we do know, if we're not involved with a committee of safety, united we stand and divided we shall fall. And America, in my opinion, has been divided for some time now. And it's a time to unite. It's a time now to get involved on your local community, to get these committees of safety going in your county if there isn't one. If there is one, join that committee of safety. Get involved. Take control of our schools. Bring a proper education back to our schools. I am endeavoring to write new books. Matter of fact, we'll take actually the work that I've been doing over the years and put them into textbooks for schools from K through 12. And, our children, by the time they come out of high school, they should know the law. They should know the Constitution. They should know who we are as a people, that we're a Christian nation, that we're blessed like no other nation, that our land is blessed like no other nation. What we have everything here in the United States. And we need to appreciate it. We need to give time back to protecting that. And we do that through committees of safety. That's once a month, coming together with a group of other people and maybe doing a couple hours of work in between that month, going into planning to go to schools, to bring these schools back to really teaching our children what is moral, what is right, and who we are. So we got to get a proper education into the schools. But we the people need that proper education. And just as I've been talking after reading the Monroe Doctrine here, and looked at these books and looking at this book here, those books alone will give you all the knowledge that you need to have. An understanding of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, who we are as a people, a Christian nation. Well, let me go back and continue reading this. Upon these, hang on a second. Okay, upon these eight biblical principles, we the people ordained and established 6 directives for our government servants to follow as they exercise their vested powers. Remember, most of what Congress does is illegal, it's unlawful. And the people, even the people in power, I don't even think they understand how far off base they really are. They do things and bring things into law they have no power or authority to do. We gave them 18 powers. People should know what those 18 powers are. And once you know what those 18 powers are, anything outside of that, they don't have no business dealing or talking, debating, or anything with that. But they're always debating something, and it usually ends up being debating our rights away. The Declaration of Independence was a covenant with God. We asked for His blessings, and we received those blessings by being a Christian nation, bringing forth the love of Christ, being obedient as best we can. Any nation that is a Christian nation, more moral is very moral. And when you remove Christ, look out into the world, look into the Middle East. When you remove Christ, you don't have Christ in a particular nation. People are very immoral. Look at the Somalis. They know what they're doing. Anybody who's been listening, you know that they know what they're doing. They even slipped about talking about the fraud, at least on 2 occasions that I'm aware of. And they understand what they're doing. And then they try to hide it and continue in it. And that's pretty bad. It's pretty evil. It's pretty immoral. All right, back to this is what we vested servants with. They are to form a perfect union. Whatever they're doing, if they're not accomplishing whatever it is that they're doing, at least one of these 6 vested powers, okay? 1, to form a more perfect union. 2, to establish justice. Our courts need to be courts of justice. To ensure the domestic tranquility. To provide for the common defense, to promote the general welfare, and the most important one, number 6, to secure the blessings of liberty. Liberty is a blessing. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Today we have wandered away from God's precepts. We have lost sight of these natural law principles, and so have our government servants. We have lost our way, and the blessings of liberty are all but lost. But I believe that if we look into the blessings that God has bestowed upon America, we will be humbled. For He promised that if we, the people, which are called by His name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek His face, and turn from our wicked ways, then will He hear from heaven, and He will forgive their sins, and will heal their land. I believe that this book has the potential of waking up America. It will dare you to know and have courage to use your own reasoning. And by the grace of nature's God, we will save our republic, our natural law republic. This is more than a book. It's a plan. It's a roadmap from slavery to liberty. The purpose of this book and its supporting website, nationallibertyalliance.org, is to provoke the people to action and arm them with education suitable and necessary for the survival of our republic. Then we, the people, can tie down our government servants with the chains of the Constitution and bring them back under our consent. This book and National Liberty Alliance is not only organization with a viable plan to return our servant government. Let me reread that. Let me step back here a minute. This book and National Liberty Alliance, NLA, is the only organization with a viable plan to return our servant government back under the Constitution and to restore our republic. Now, a lot of other people, they may have some of the things that they're doing also, but we put together here is a complete package. In other words, to deal with all the problems that we have in America, all the woes. And by the way, all the woes created in America was caused by the British bar, the bar, B-A-R, the bar. All right, let me see where we're at here. Okay, so I'll read that last sentence. This book, A National Liberty Alliance, is the only organization with a viable plan to return our servant government back under the Constitution and to restore our republic. Thomas Jefferson said, "Educate and inform the whole mass of the people. They are the only sure reliance for the preservation of our liberty. I know no safe depository of the ultimate powers of the society but the people themselves. And if we think them not enlightened enough to exercise their control with a wholesome discretion, the remedy is not to take it from them, but to inform their discretion by education. This is the true corrective of abuses of constitutional powers. For if a people expect to be ignorant and free, they expect what never was and never will be. This book is that suitable education." We read in Psalms chapter 119, verse 45, God said that only the people that seek his precepts will walk in liberty. It's time that his wayward sons repent and to return to their heritage founded upon his precepts, a nation built upon his incarnation, one nation under God. Okay, I think I'll read some of the reviews we've gotten on this book. We've gotten 5-star reviews every time, all the way through. We have a couple people, maybe gave us a 4.9 or a 4.8 or something like that, or 4 stars. I think collectively you get the percentage, but we have 4.9 out of 5, collectively on the reviews. So I'd like to read some of these reviews. Let's see. This is from some guy, Derek Young. This is a thick book and goes into detail on multiple things such as law, American history, grand jury and the petit jury, history of the sheriff, the courts, the introduction of the founding documents, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, legislative, executive, and judicial powers, the state's amendments, ratifications, supreme law of the land, Federalist and Anti-Federalist papers, Committeeman, the militia, Memorandums of Law, 2 political structures, and the Committees of Safety, the plan to save America. This is basically a textbook which should be in every high school in America. And I'd like to make this into a textbook and do that. Okay, here's another person wrote, guy Mike Barr. And by the way, there's still nobody in the queue. Star 6 and a 1 if you're on a phone. I'd like to get conversation going. And there should be a button if you're on an app or browser. Okay, Mike Carr wrote, reviewed in the United States. Okay, a very important book to read, and it tells you everything you need to know about how government really is meant to be. So these people have gone through the book and do understand what this book is all about. Here's another person, S. Lamar. I keep it with me along with a few other books to witness to people when needed. It's great reference, has pretty much everything one should know about God's law. Another person, Sue Jack. If you are a true patriot, then this is the #1 book to have in your library. We the people have neglected our duties, and it is time we stand together and bring back the republic. And the only way that can be done is holding our all elected officials to their oaths and office. And that would be oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. You will not regret ordering this book for yourself and other patriots. Do it now. Where we go one, we go all. Okay, another person, Teresa. And these are all 5-star ratings. So much information in one book, a must-have in addition to all of his other books. I would really also like this in audio or PDF that can be played. And it is available in audio, by the way. What's this? Holly Joe? These books are going to have to be put into our schools. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they're going to be due to the fact it's constitutional law or common law, and we have been under maritime law. And again, that's something I would like to do, is to work to get into the schools. We've been throwing a lot of hints to this administration concerning that idea, and we haven't asked them for money, but it's kind of like, you figured, well, they got money, maybe they'll come look and realize we need money. Someone will give us that money to do these things that we need to do. And again, by buying this book here, or any of my books, is supporting National Liberty Alliance. Okay, let's see. This is done by E. Thompson. If we don't know what our government is really supposed to be doing and what it is not supposed to be doing, how can we object and know that we're right? This information has been withheld from us for many decades. We need to be well informed about the truth. This book will do that. Excellent book, worth every penny. Okay, Jeanette Hunt. I think this is the last one. This man's contribution to our understanding of our real American heritage cannot be overstated. Let me see if there's any more. I think that's it. Okay, I think that's all that at least that they're listed here. It's supposed to be 39. But anyway, okay. Anyway, I really, people need to get these books. I mean, again, you need to get the books that I brought up in the beginning. They're foundational. They're history. They tell us who our founding fathers really were. Three of the most important ones. We got Jefferson, Washington, and Franklin. I didn't see anything in there on Madison. I wish we did, because, again, he was like a bookend to Thomas Jefferson. And he played a major role in the Federalist and the Anti-Federalist. So anyway, great books, very inexpensive, and of course the book here, Government by Consent, again is a very important book that will give you everything you really need to know. Okay, and you couple with what I have, because I do focus mostly on the political problems, how to fix these political problems, memorandums of law, trying to get the courts back to courts of justice, and that's the big focus. And of course we do have American history in here, but really the in-depth studies of American history and details are the books that I had mentioned. The Making of America and the 5,000-Year Leap is, in my opinion, they're really the two big ones, okay, that people really should have. So anyway, while we're here, I'm just going to run through to share other books we have. I do see a couple people in the queue, so we'll be going into the queue in a few minutes. Anybody else wants to get into the queue, star 6 and 1 if you're on a phone, and the button should be there somewhere, app or browser. Okay, of course, Government by Consent. I also wrote a book, Court Access in the Common Law, and again, we have a course on how to get into the courts, how to write papers, and of course, we give you all the basic structure of due process and writing papers and forms and how to file a case, what kind of papers you need, how to respond to a case. And of course, how to really write. We give a lot of clues and ideas, but really learning to write really comes from reading. The more you read of other cases, and we've got lots of cases here, the books themselves will give you a lot of information, especially the Memorandums of Law will give you a lot of information. But if you go to our federal court cases on the top right-hand side bar there, you'll see we've got a lot of papers that we have written, all kinds of memorandums, responses, and challenges in the courts. So again, you learn from reading, and some good Supreme Court rulings, Marbury versus Madison, United States versus the U.S. versus Williams. there's quite a few, key cases that everyone should read, and again, in reading those cases, you learn to write. But anyway, of course, we have lots of courses, and we have American history taught. We've got quite a few videos on American history. But anyway, let's get back to these books. We have Memorandums of Common Law. We have Understanding the Federal Courts. We have a study of parables in the book of Revelation. We have What Must I Do to Be Saved? When is the Rapture? We have the County Committee of Safety Committeeman Handbook. We have the Committee of Safety Common Law Handbook. We have Founding Documents of the United States. We have the County Sheriff's Common Law Handbook. That's my biggest seller. I'm kind of surprised, but that is one of the biggest sellers. Common Law Petit Jury Handbook. Common Law Handbook for the Grand Jury. Anybody going into court? Okay, this is an extremely important book. I wrote. This is my very first book, as a matter of fact. I ever wrote Common Law Court Handbook, very first book, and I had been using it for many years in PDF form. I made a book, book out of 8.5 by 11 pages, and put it in a binder, and then I put it into a handbook. And I take, if I go into court, I take that handbook. Even when I'm writing papers, a lot of times I'll use that handbook to get a quick review of something. Very powerful, powerful, powerful handbook. And then the Common Law Handbook. But this court handbook, Common Law Court Handbook, is something that you definitely want to take into court. That and the Constitution. Okay, so anyway, these books, are up there, and again, if you purchase them, you not only get a lot of education, a lot of good understanding. Hopefully, it'll encourage you to get involved in what we're doing, what all we, the people, should be doing, and that is working with our committees of safety, creating them and working with them, and it'll help support National Liberty Alliance effort. So, and again, those who are not supporting us, I'd like to really ask them, to give us the support. We're hanging in there. We're just getting by every month. It's pretty tough. I'm getting ready to file some papers that we read some papers last week, and hopefully I'm going to send them out this coming week, or maybe the beginning of next week. And it's not much to send them out. I think it's probably going to cost me maybe $150, $200 to get those papers out, because we're going to be doing it in letter form. It's not going to be like a huge number of papers, and we're not going to send it out in a way that would like serving them or anything of that nature. But we are going to do it as coming from the grand jury as a presentment to this administration. It's Trump and his entire administration. And our purpose with him and his administration is to educate them, well, in a lot of things they already know, but also in things that I perceive that they don't know, because I never hear them speak about it. And if they're, that's one of the other big problems. These people in power, they don't even know the Constitution. We're a democracy. We get to vote on everything. Democracy is when you vote someone into office, put someone into office, and then they can argue, do and create and write law on anything they want, anything. Okay, that's what a democracy is, and a democracy is destructive. A democracy is the first step to an oligarchy. That's the facts. Our founding fathers spoke about this. George Washington spoke about parties, and but in the Federalist Papers, they spoke about the problem with democracies. We're a natural law republic. There are over 200 republics in the world, okay? But we are the only one natural law republic, and that's important. And so, again, our people that are in power, that we put in power, and a lot of it is our fault. We are here because we are ignorant. That's our problem. Okay, we were ignorant. Well, hopefully, many of us are not becoming ignorant anymore. We're getting rid of our ignorance. But we became complacent. I don't know, 100 years ago, maybe more. We became complacent, and that's why we're here. If we didn't get, and some of it's our fault, and some of it, of course, is a plan to destroy us by sabotaging our education, particularly, most importantly. That's what they did. Because if they taught us what we should know, they wouldn't be able to get away with anything that they've been getting away with. We never would have put up with it from day one. As soon as we saw the evil, we would snuff it out. But we don't see the evil because we don't know what authorities and powers we've given them. We don't understand who we are as a people. And we become complacent. We become uninvolved. We don't get involved. We don't get together in our communities. We got to get off those stupid phones that they call smartphones. I call them stupid phones. I refuse to have one. I mean, I have a computer, of course, but those stupid phones, it just takes your attention away from everything else that you should be doing. Your relationship with God, your relationship with your community, your relationship with your government, your relationship with everything. It just takes it away to stupidity, okay? And people need to be awakened, and we should never give those destructive things to our children. And when they get a little older, we got to teach them what they're used for. There's nothing wrong with a smartphone. If I was still active in business, I definitely would have a smartphone, because I'd be using it for my work and keeping order of things. But because I'm not doing that, I don't need that. And of course, I got a computer at home that I organize things with. But that's my insight on this. Just think about how much time you spent on that stupid phone, and how much time it takes away even from your family and from your relationship with God and from becoming more educated, reading a good book, getting involved in meetings like this, and just getting things back. All right, anyway, hopefully people will get themselves educated. I hope you buy those books that we spoke about here at over at National Center for Constitutional Studies, and also Government by Consent here. You can buy this right through our line here at National Liberty Alliance. Let me see. If you click on that link, let's see. Okay, you click on that link, you're going to read what we just read, and then you have the opportunity to add to the cart or buy it right here, because you're right now on Amazon once you click that link. And that's true with all of my links here for all of the books. All right, we're going to go to our queue now. We got 3 people in the queue. Anybody else wants to get into the queue? It's a *6 and a 1 if you're on a phone, and there should be a button if you're on an app or a browser. We'll take our first person here in the queue. Looks like Linda from Virginia. You got the mic. Hopefully you're unmuted. Let's see. Let me try hitting it again. Okay, you're unmuted now, Linda. Go right ahead. You got the mic.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. You caught my attention when you were talking about that we don't need parties. And I just wanted to...
Washington was very clear on that, but go ahead.
Well, yeah, I wanted to... Well, so many things. I keep thinking, why do we have parties? Why do we need parties? Here's what I post. I'm going to tell you what I post all the time, all over. I post, parties are a problem. They breed incestuous inefficiencies, corruption, stalemating, diversion of taxpayer priorities, imbalance, mismanagement, gerrymandering, redistricting, etc. Long list. And then I say no parties, no lobbyists, no special interests, no electoral college. So I don't claim to know everything about it, but I'm just kind of thinking, one person, one vote. That's the title, is I put one person, one vote.
Right. Yeah, they vote.
Why? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this?
Because the bar set us up that way. they have destroyed. Look at this, goes all the way back to 1750. And the purpose of the bar is to destroy the United States of America. Ultimately, it was to destroy our court systems. And once we became the United States of America, it just extended in from that. You know, the problem is that the king was getting flack from some of the colonists, particularly, a real big troublemaker named Benjamin Franklin, who had a paper going, and he was really the instigator of this whole thing. And it built up into a movement. And then we finally had enough with Britain, and we cut them off. But they've never really totally been broken the ties. They've always.
Let me ask you about that. You say Benjamin Franklin,
right?
I thought he was a good guy, but I suspected it came from because our forefathers. It talks about parties. Mm-hmm. And
that not really. Our founding fathers never spoke about parties. Whenever they did, it was negative. And Benjamin Franklin was the beginning of really the revolution, because the Bar Association, they were trying to destroy our courts to begin with. They didn't want common law courts. They had already pretty much almost accomplished that in Britain. Okay, and now they of course they had to keep the colonies under control. They wanted to do the same thing here. And like I said, Benjamin Franklin was I didn't say this, but I'll say it now. He was a thorn on the king's side, and so again, the purpose of the bar.
I do know that he fraternized a lot with, the people overseas.
Well, he had relationship with people. I mean, people say all kinds of things, but I'll tell you what. He did talk about, his younger life, and and he was a pretty riotous type living. But coming to the end of his life, he became a Christian. And but the bottom line is that he made a lot of problems because they were trying to get rid of our common law courts, particularly, but also they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, and they were treating us more like slaves or second-hand citizens. But the thing is that the purpose of the bar was to destroy and bring everything back under their control by bringing the courts because through the courts you can control the people, and that's what's happening today. We're being controlled through the courts, and of also these political parties. Now, they're the ones that created the political parties. They're the ones that created the Democratic Party. They're the ones that created the factions between the founding, people within the founding fathers, which were making a lot of arguments and stuff, and they were doing a lot of division, and they were getting together a lot of different factions, as our founding fathers spoke about. And if you read, maybe one day we should read George Washington's farewell address, because he explains it very well in that. And I quote a lot of what he has to say in a lot of papers that I've used, and in the book, of course, also. But they started with this anti-federalists. I mean, with the Federalists, and they were causing problems. The first political party was, with a name anyway, was the Federalist. And Jefferson was upset with that when he became president. He says, look, we're all Federalists. We all believe in a federal government, that we should have it. That's the union that brings us together. Okay, but and we're all Republicans. Okay, meaning, of course, who we are as a people. We're a natural law republic. And then they created parties out of that, the enemy. Because you see, in order to take something down, you have to divide them first. United we stand, divided we fall. So they divided the people. They divided our courts. They divided the people with political parties. And the Federalist Party transferred and morphed into the Democratic Party. I believe that was in the beginning of the 1800s, just so many years after we became the United States of America, like 11 or 12 years later, they became the Democrat Party. And parties, look at, when we send people, let's take for Congress, we send people as legislators, and they have a job to do, and they need to read what their job is. We got 18 powers. They have no business discussing or arguing or debating anything outside of those 18 powers and whatever authorities we gave them within the Constitution. But they have gone so far beyond that, even to the point of restricting our Second Amendment. I mean, you have to go get a permit. You have to get permission to carry a weapon, okay? and restricting our speech. They're constantly trying to do that. We saw that what they had been doing over the past so many years before Trump came back, people being arrested and all kinds of problems, and and especially during covert, what was going on there. So again, if the people become educated, if we educate our children, they can't pull the wool over the people's eyes anymore, because the people will see and say, wait a second, you can't do that, you can't discuss that, we didn't put you in office to get involved with that, and we have the power of recall. I mean, that's never used. I never see, well, I've heard of a few cases where people have been recalled, but it is extremely rare. Okay, recalling people out of, we can do that all the time, and all we have to do is threaten our if we were in a committee of safety, and especially if you got working in your county with other counties who also have committees of safety, and you're working together to deal with a congressman that's out of control, you can take him out of office in 90 days, and just by doing a recall and bring a new election up. And we could do that with pretty much anybody in any authority. The only one we can't do that with, I believe, is the president. But other than that, we could remove all these people. Okay, and maybe we can remove the president. I'd have to look into that, because it would be a very difficult thing to do, because you would need a lot of people. I know if you want to remove a congressman, you have to get a certain number of people to sign the papers within those counties that fall underneath that particular congressman. And, if you wanted to get rid of a governor, for instance, it has to be proportional between, like, we got 62 counties here, so we have to have at least a certain percentage of individuals in a certain percentage of counties to fill the papers out. There's actual numbers on it. It's actually percentages. And then you can then take that recall through petitions and pull that governor out of office and get a new election up. So you could do this on anybody, and you could probably do it on the president too, but that would be a big job, because you'd have to get a large percentage of the states, probably two-thirds at least, maybe even three-quarters. I don't know. I'd have to look in. I'm sure there's a law on that. But there's logic anyway, even if there's no law. We don't need a law to act. Okay, we have common sense. We're under common law. We act under common sense. When someone's out of control, we got to get rid of them. And if the rest of the government around that individual that may be able to get rid of that individual, and they don't get rid of that individual, then it's up to the people to get rid of that individual. And we can exercise our own authority. We don't need a written law. I remember speaking to a lawyer one time and said, you can't do a recall in New York. There's no law. We don't need a law. What do we need a law for? Recall is just part of the system. I don't need a law to tell me what I can do and what I can't do as far as executing our rights to control our government, So anyway, the problem is us at this point, because we're not really educating and we're not getting these committees of safety going. I mean, they are going little by little. Let me see where we're at. I know we looked at the numbers a couple of weeks ago. How many committees of safety do we have? Here we go. We have 209 committees of safety in process. I don't know where they're at particularly. If we can go professional, then we can really get a better connection with these individuals, communicate with these individuals on a weekly or some kind of at least a weekly basis, and assist them, give them more information, and assist them any way they would want us to assist them, and get more organized, get communications between them. And we could do that from the national end, but again, in order to do that, we need somebody with some dollars that's going to help us to become professional. People with a lot of money put their money out for a lot of different things, and in my opinion, second to the message of salvation, this is the second most important thing anybody, I believe, people can do, and that's to get involved with who we are as a people. This is a Christian nation. Let's bring those Christian principles back. Let's bring morality back. Let's teach our children how to give back. Let's teach them what liberty is. Let's teach them who our founding fathers were. Let's teach them true history. I listen to these people talk. They are, on the other side particularly, and even to us to a degree. We're all ignorant to some degree anyway. But particularly on the other side, these people are just absolute morons. They're not paying attention. And, I saw them out in the streets telling them to stop bombing, down there in South America. And the bombing was quick, in and out. It was all done. And these people are taken to the streets the next day. They're not even paying attention. It's done. It's over. It's finished. Guy was arrested. Mission accomplished. Government is being returned back to the people. They're going to go elect their own representatives, take care of their own business. We're going to help them do whatever it is that they need to do, and we're going to get our hands out of it because we don't belong getting in the business of another nation, another country. And that's exactly what Trump is doing, bringing peace around the world. And he's got to bring that peace and stop all this corruption and the problem in our own continent, okay? And that's exactly what he's doing. That's why he's resurrecting the Monroe Doctrine. We're a peaceful people. Leave us alone. Stop it. Get your hands out of us. I'm trying to think what the Middle East country that was in. Most of the people that died down there in the bombing, wasn't from down there. They were from the Middle East. I don't remember which one. Maybe Iraq, Iran. I don't know. I don't remember. But if anybody knows, maybe they can tell us. All right, back to you anyway. Anything else? Okay, I guess not. Let's take, let's see, Linda, did you get knocked out? I think that was Linda I was talking to. Let me see if that was it.
Here.
Get knocked off?
Here I am.
Okay,
can you hear me?
Go right ahead, yep.
Oh, okay. No, I got a call during that thing, and it knocked me off. So,
okay.
Anyway, the other thing I'm thinking about this, parties or no parties thing, was maybe they needed it back then. I don't know, but I'm sorry.
They never needed it. It was always a plan to destroy America. There were two plans. Actually, three major plans, okay? Destroy our judicial process, destroy our political process, and destroy our morality. That's the three things that they needed to do, and they did a heck of a job with it. They really accomplished. It took them a long time, and that's only because of the strength of our Christian background here in the United States, and at least liberty, we believe that we're free at least through osmosis, if not through knowledge, through osmosis, in the sense that we just grow up believing we're free, even though we don't know the words that we need to know to maintain and defend that freedom, which of course is the Bill of Rights particularly, but also the whole Constitution and the foundation of who we are as a people, which is a covenant with God called the Declaration of Independence.
What were the three things? Destroy our
judicial process, destroy our political process, and destroy the morality of the people. By doing that, you'll destroy families. You destroy the very thing that we are, looking towards the blessings of liberty, having a just courts, okay, that brings true justice, where the people decide out of the hearts, and having an education that pledges allegiance to the United States of America, to the flag, and to the republic for which it stands, because that flag stands for the natural law republic. That's who we are.
And that was Britain at the time?
What's that?
That was the British at the time that were trying to do that?
Oh, they started in 1750, and they haven't stopped. They still got their fingers in our business. Trump is that right now, okay?
Yeah. Okay, so what I want to say though is, fast forward to today and all the technology we have, this one vote, one person, one vote would be so easy, it looks like to me.
Absolutely, because you wouldn't have a party boss then, and they would actually.
I will say, aside from all the hacking and corruption that could happen, if they get that all.
There would be corruption because there's always corruption, but there'd be very little corruption because there'd be no cover-up, because unless you maybe had 2 or 3 people working together, but when you have a whole party, look what's happening. You can't even, it's so difficult to even fix the problem, and Trump is going to accomplish that. I don't know of anyone else capable of accomplishing that. And that's because he understands business. He understands these people. He understands.
So that's what it looks like to me. It looks like why are we doing this? And it would be so easy for every person to just have a vote, and that way, the way it is now, they do not have to serve the people, basically.
But you can't convince an uneducated group of people of what you're saying. You can't convince them. People have to be educated enough to have enough information to understand.
Well, let me tell you something, though. I've been an activist all of my life, all of my adult life anyway. Mm-hmm. And there's only one thing that works, and that's exposure and a consensus of the people. So if you can get a consensus of the people, which I understand is easier said than done, you win. You
can do that through committees of safety. That's the purpose of a committee of safety, to get that consensus, to say, hey, this is what's right.
Well, I'm not sure you have to do it through anything. I say this: start a party, one person, one vote. We have a third party.
Well,
why doesn't anybody do this? Why doesn't anybody do this?
No natural law. Republics can survive this, but no natural law republic can survive political parties. Our founding fathers were absolutely clear on this. 2/3 of George Washington's farewell address spoke on exactly this problem. He laid it out completely, and he said that the parties, these factions, are going to be the destruction of this nation. And on the other side of that coin, you had Thomas Jefferson saying these judges are going to be the destruction of this nation. Okay? And the only way we're going to tie these people down with the Constitution is for the people to know the Constitution and to work together in one accord, to become educated, educate our children, get involved in the community, and come together and fix these problems. Go down to the school boards when they have their meetings and fix this problem. Go to the other board meetings, maybe it's a town board meeting or whatever, and fix these problems. Go to your...
Well, what I'm seeing is the people really do not. They don't answer to the people. We have one way, elected officials.
The people don't demand it, though. There's the other side of that coin. They don't answer to the people because the people don't demand it. And remember, we're dealing.
Well, but most people are lemmings, basically. They're followers, and they like to follow something.
We have government. We don't have government by the majority. We have government by the majority that participates. They control this whole system by just a handful of people in different areas, controlling all of the power structures. That's how they control. They don't have millions and millions and millions of people, unless you add all of these illegal aliens, of course. Other than that, they don't have the big control in any way, the majority of the people. It's very minimum. And it's mostly the people that are just sheeple.
But I would say if we could get one person, one vote, then they would have to answer to all of the people. All of the people.
Well, I don't understand.
They wouldn't be able to just cater to parties. They'd have to cater.
When you say one person, one vote, do you mean the representative, for instance, in Congress, that they are one person and they have one?
No, I mean one person. Me, I get a vote. The next person gets a vote.
That's only
we don't vote through parties. We don't vote through parties and electoral colleges and all this other nonsense.
Well, no, that's not nonsense at all. Electoral colleges is a very important part of our political process. It is the balance.
Why?
Because it prevents the cities. It prevents a few states with large cities from controlling the whole process. That's why.
But if we had one person, one vote, cities wouldn't matter.
Oh, sure they would. If you can get control, if you got parties, then you got a problem because they will rally against. But
we would. If we had one person, one vote, we wouldn't have parties.
But the bottom line is how do you get rid of parties? You can't get rid of parties. Look, in order to fix the problem, there's only one way. What you're saying is true. I'm not arguing that point, but there's more the needs are. You have to have an educated individual. You have to have someone who knows and understands who we are as a people as far as understanding the Constitution, the powers and the authorities that we're giving to this individual that's being elected for that office, or to that individual being elected to this office. We have to know that they know the Constitution, that they truly understand that they have to uphold it and what it means to uphold it. And the moment that they stop upholding it, you notify them of that and say, hey, fix this problem, stop it, and do the right thing, or we're going to take you out. And the only way we can take you out...
So the education of the people would be another part of that, but I'm not sure it would improve. I'm not sure it would improve or not. It is what it is.
Let's go to Jefferson. Jefferson was crystal clear on this. If a people expect to be ignorant and free, they expect what never was and never, ever, ever will be, period. Okay? So that's the facts. It starts with education. It starts with the Pledge of Allegiance and what it means. It starts with our children in the schools. We have to teach them all these things. We have to teach them the political process. We have to teach them civics. We have to teach them how the court system works, how they can write their papers and take care of their own lawful and legal problems.
Well, I just think that most people know that they really don't have much of a part in it. Whereas if it was one person, one vote, they would have more of a part. They would know that.
I agree with that, but it's coupled with education. That's the main thing I'm saying. But we should move on to another person because it's getting late and we got 3 other people in here now. So, but
I'll just finish up by saying I don't understand why we don't pursue this. We don't say. And I think it could be receptive by just saying, why are we still doing this? Why are we doing this?
Well, let me explain the problem. Okay, my county, your county, is controlled by 4 individuals. 4. That's all it's controlled by. Okay, and other people who might want to participate with the status quo. Of course, that's structure and that's power. So every county is controlled by 4 people. All of those 4 peoples in all of those counties is controlled by 4 more people on the state level. And then all the people on the state level, all those people are controlled by a small group of people on the federal level.
Who are the 4 people? Who are the 4? Who are the 4 people?
It's the Republicans and the Democrats. It's those people who are chairing the committees. It's what the bar has done is they statutorize the committeeman, and they kick out and prevent people who have a different view than the status quo. They don't let you in. I've been a committeeman two times in a row over the many years, and let me tell you, they kick you out. They don't want you there. When you bring up something that's resistance to the status quo, you find yourself out on the rear end. You're done. You're out of there. Your vote doesn't count. You don't count. And they don't want you. And then when you run the next time, the party boss will prevent you from getting in. They even sometimes refuse to give you the walking papers when you go down to get the papers, to walk your papers to get your designated petitions in. They do everything. The parties are evil. It's Satan. It's part of the demonic process of this world. It's part of Leviathan. Okay, they're destructive. They fill their pockets up. They want control, and they're destroying. And a lot of them don't realize that they're destroying themselves at the same time. They lay wait for their own blood.
Often it is a choice of 2 evils. You look at it and you say, I don't want either one of them, but I have to choose one of them, so I'll choose this one.
All right, well, we're going to move to our next caller, but I will say one thing, and we're trying to educate, the administration in areas that we think that they lack. Maybe they don't lack it. Maybe they're just not talking about it. But they certainly don't talk about the courts of justice. They do to some degree because of what happened with Trump. But they really don't understand, I don't think, what a court of justice is. A court of justice does not have a judge in it. It has 12 individuals. It's called a tribunal.
Okay? Yeah.
And those individuals have to search their hearts and make a decision on innocent or guilt on an individual. And that's true and if you want, even if it's a civil case, and you want a jury, they have to give it to you. The 7th Amendment provides and requires it. Okay, but you don't have that no more. You don't have common law no more. You don't have the rules of common law.
Yeah, and the tribal thing, the fact that we have one or just a couple elected officials is ridiculous. You know, they cannot handle everything.
Well, again, look it. If the people, all you need, we don't need a lot of people to do this, okay? If you can get 50 to 100 people in every county, 50 people would be suffice in most counties. Some you need more maybe, but whatever, okay? If you can get, let's say, 50 people, we have 3,134 counties, okay, times 50 people. That's 160,000 people across America can take back control of this nation, okay? And of course, you'll have more in some counties than others.
Yeah, but just like getting people to vote, it doesn't come together, you know? It just doesn't.
Well, look, that's why we got to get the message out to the group of people who will listen and respond. Look, I forget does anyone know what the population of the United States is minus the illegals? I think it's around 300 million. And out of 300 million, we don't even need 500,000, you know? So we could take back this nation. Again, I'll say it again, and this is a quote, okay? We don't have government by majority. We have government by the majority that participates. The people who are involved, the people who walk the petitions, the people who do the recalls, the people who go to the meetings and bring under control, the education systems. You go to the school board in your counties and bring them back under a proper education, and to pull them out of power when they don't do the will of the people.
Well, I'm definitely not arguing against education, but I really just don't understand why this has never become a real thing of just one person, one vote. I swear, I want to go to Elon Musk and say, can you do this? Just do one person, one vote system, you know?
Yeah, but one person can't fix this problem. The people this is a people problem. We have government by the consent of the people. If the people don't want to get up and give their consent to the government, and in order to do that they have to know how the makeup of that government is as far as the powers and the authorities, and they don't get involved a little bit, then they're not exercising their right of government by consent. And when they don't exercise the government by consent, then the people in power take control, and they pull the wool right over your eyes, and they do whatever they please until you wake up all of a sudden and find yourself in shackles. And that's where we're very close to and being pulled out of. But with that, I got to move to the next person because it's really getting late, okay?
Okay.
If you want to get back in line, and if there's more time, we'll more.
Thank you so much for the talk.
Thank you.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Okay, we got Eric. Oh no, Francine. Francine, how you doing? Not Francine.
Hey, how are you? Okay, so
it's been a while. I always keep thinking of Francine. Go ahead.
Some random things. Like one was what you were talking about and what the lady was talking about. It's not just about one vote, you know, that's going to solve everything because of a lot of reasons. One, maybe she needs to review Electoral College and the purpose of that and the advantage of it. And basically, my understanding is that that's to avoid mob rule so that you don't have it's one person, one vote, but if you've got like a lot of people who are just they act like a party. They may not be called by a party name, but they all operate, you know, with the same intents and purposes and so on and so forth. But it's, you know, and they get represented, overwhelmingly represented, but the smaller groups don't get equal weight, and so the small groups will always be outnumbered if it's just sheer number, and that is the definition of majority rule. And so this is a way of protecting that. So it's in other words, it's more complicated than just one vote.
It definitely is, and the key thing though here is the knowledge of their authorities and powers that we the people ordained and established for them. Okay.
And that's the other thing. Yes.
So if you understand that we only gave Congress 18 powers. One of those powers is to write law on the other 17, but we gave them 18 powers. We didn't give them the power to debate any of our unalienable rights. We didn't give them the power to debate most of what they debate and talk about and try to pass and do. We didn't give them the power to abrogate the common law. We didn't give them the power to write the Rules Enabling Act, which gave the ability to the Bar Association to totally destroy our courts. We didn't give them the power of any of these things. But people don't know. They think that that's law and they have to live under those laws. That's repugnant to who we are as a people, but they don't know that it's repugnant because they lack education. Education is the first part of this.
So the fact that they don't know, so then they become vulnerable to the parties that are in power, whether through a party system or not, like a one-to-one, but they don't know that what's being debated to rule over them is not even foundationally found in the Constitution. That's the first thing. And then secondly, again, mob rule, they could all have an opinion, and that's their opinion and that's their vote, that is morally reprehensible to the Constitution or to morality, and yet they win because of sheer numbers. That's, again, mob rule. So,
well, again, that's party bosses create that. If we got rid of the parties, there'd be no party bosses, and then people would be going there and doing the will of the people. What we have to realize... What we have to realize is that
the next thing that's a problem with that kind of voter system is what was I going to say? Give me a second. Oh, fraud. Okay, so you can have what you consider the most pristine one-on-one. You know, it's just, why isn't it simple? It's just one person, one vote. Because there's all kinds of votes that are fraudulent. Either they're real people that have been paid off, or they think, like in New York, they're going to get free, and so they're paid off that way, or they're just all these votes that are one vote, but they're like dead people, duplicates, so there's fraud. So in other words, that system is already compromised because it's not pure one person, one vote. Aside from the fact that one person, one vote is also can be overwhelmingly skewed and forever and perpetually cut out the person who has smaller, and therefore, again, is mob rule, which is Democrats.
Right, but
so that's all I want to say about that.
Our one vote, which is for numerous people, though, because you have to vote for numerous individuals that are within your political subdivision that you would vote in for whatever powers. It could be local powers, it could be county powers, it could be state powers, it could be federal powers. But the key thing is making sure, and this brings knowledge, making sure that the individual that you're going to vote for, and the only way you're going to do this is really working together in the community and getting educated. But
which most people don't do.
The individual that you're going to vote for or want to vote for, well, what's their position on the Constitution? Do they understand what their powers and authorities are? Do they understand the consequences should they, go beyond their powers and authorities? And the only way that there's consequences, the people see it and do something about it. But if the people can't see it, they can't do anything about it.
Right.
But let me give you a quick list of things. This is the powers. This is all the power that the legislators have. This is it. I'm going to read through it very quickly. I'm just going to list it out. Number one, to borrow money. Number two, to regulate commerce, among the states. Number three, to establish uniform rules of naturalization. Number four, to coin money. There's a lot more to each one of these things, but it's all structured around these points. To coin money and regulate the value thereof. I forget what number I'm on. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's 5. To provide for the punishment of counterfeiting and the security. This is the federal level. 6. To establish post office and post roads. 7. To promote the progress of science and useful arts. 8. To constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court. That's to create the federal court system. 9, and that's for equity and law. 9, to define the punishment for piracies and felonies. 10, to declare war and grant letters of marque. 11, to raise and support armies. 12, to provide and maintain a navy. 13, to make rules for the government and regulations of the land and naval forces. Make rules for them, not us. 14, to provide the calling forth for the militia. 15, to provide for organizing, arming, and disciplining the militia. 16, to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over such districts. This is for, of course, the District of Columbia. So to make laws and rules for that city. Okay. 17, to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers and all other powers vested by the Constitution and the government of the United States. Now, I probably miscounted, or maybe I missed one in here, but that's all they can discuss and talk and fix and do. But listen to all the things that they talk about. Listen to all the things that they try to do. They try to take our arms away. They try to take our free speech away. They try to
give themselves raises.
That's not listed here. None of those things are listed here.
That's what I'm saying.
So that is the problem. It's called ignorance. If people knew, and they say, wait a second, buddy, you can't do that. That's this. Where in the Constitution do you find that power and authority? Okay? You know, there's many good people that tried to get some good legislation in there and required any law passed to quote in the Constitution where they have the power or the authority to pass that law. But it'll never get through. They will never pass it. Maybe through the Trump administration and we get to a point, maybe we will be able to get something like that passed. If we can get
the other thing I wanted to say was, you know, earlier you were saying, or someone was saying, well, you can always recall. No, again, because that's also one that's fraught with fraud. That's potentially going to be undermined by fraud. Like, oh, we can always recall if it's not good. No, not if it was.
That's a process. Look at if you have a committee of safety going, and the election time is going for who's ever running for office at that time period within your political subdivision that you're going to be voting within your political subdivision. And you say, well, okay, we're the Committee of Safety. They come to us. They give us a speech. They tell us who they are. We ask them questions about the Constitution, their understanding, and this and that and the other thing. And if they don't understand the Constitution, then we tell them, well, go learn it. You can go to National Liberty Alliance and learn it, and then come back and talk to us again, because until then, you're not getting into power. But until the people start to get involved with executing their unalienable right of government by consent, that is government by consent. The people saying, no, you need to know the Constitution. And then when you get in there, you better obey that Constitution, because if you don't, we're going to be watching you. That is government by consent. We have to monitor them. And many hands make light work. This isn't one person doing all these things. This is 50 or 100 people working together, a little bit there, and a little bit there, and a little bit there. Many hands make light work, and you don't have a lot of things to do. A couple of hours a month you're given into this.
50 people working with and in agreement and with the support of their community, saying, okay, you're gonna do this, and we support you. We got your back. And that's not what the case is. Look what happened with Larry Elders. He tried to do a recall in California, and he got accused of being the white black man.
Well, that wouldn't happen if you had committees of safety going, and especially the committee of safety is another.
But until then, people think, oh, it's just a vote. No, there's a lot to it.
Well, yeah, and that is true. That's the look at. There is a lot to it. You have to be involved, but the key point, and everything is worthless. You can have everything else, but if you don't have education, you have nothing else. Okay, you can't execute anything else because you don't know what to do. You don't know what they're doing is good or what they're doing is bad, and that's the key.
So the last thing I wanted to say, because I know you're short in time, is you mentioned that your book is available as an audio, because someone said that would be nice, and you said it is.
Yes.
I looked on Amazon. I didn't see it as an audio. Where is it available as an audio?
Well, that should be, let's see. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, wrong button. Let's see. Books. Should be able to go right where the book is, and there should be a button to get the audio details of what let's click on that. Okay.
I saw Kindle. I saw hardcover, softcover Kindle, but no audio.
Okay, there's supposed to be Kindle up here. I'll have to look into
Kindle. I did see Kindle. I didn't see audio. Kindle.
I think Kindle is audio, isn't it?
No, Kindle is digital reading.
Okay.
It's
Well, I
CBD.
thought it was audio with that, but there is a place
No.
where I I don't.
Audio is audiobook.
Huh?
Audio is audio.
Okay, let's see another book.
Now, there's probably a way to, like through an app or something, to have your Kindle read, but I'm not familiar with it.
No, it's up here. You know what I'll do? I'll look for it, and then next week I'll bring it up
Let
where
me
it's
know.
in. I never
That'd be
looked
great.
for it before, so I don't know where it's at. But
All
I
right, let me
did
know.
set my books up for that, and sometimes people do purchase the audio, and the
All right,
audio is
cool.
cheap. But a
Cool.
book like this book here, audio is nice to have in the background, that's fine. But a book like this, Government by Consent, okay, that particular book, okay, it's really important to really have it, read it, and understand it, and work through it. Listening to audio is helpful. So it is helpful. There's no getting away from that.
I want both. I want to be able to listen to it, and then maybe when I'm reading it, I'll be able to say this is a part that I really want to take notes on.
Right. Yeah, and remember, in the book itself, you'll have a lot of footnotes, where in the audio you don't have the footnotes.
Right.
But again, yeah, I will read something and know something. For instance, when I do Bible studies, but when I'm driving around, I have Bible. Right now I'm listening to the Book of Job.
Audio.
Listen to it over and over and over and over again to try to get that familiarized with it. But my real studies, of course, get involved with when I read and look into each verse, line upon line, precept upon precept. And this is the same thing even with the things we do at National Liberty Alliance. We have some audio stuff, and I listen to it over and over and over again, at least in law a while back when I was really starting to study law in the beginning. And you have the books and the papers. I went through, what was that called? Jurisdictionary, I think it was called. And I had all those tapes, and I'd listen to them in my car, but it's really working in the papers and in the books and really going through the lines and maybe looking up words that you're not familiar with or you're not too sure, maybe has, whatever the case may be. You need to understand what you're reading. So, but yeah, I'll look for that, and I'll bring that up next week.
Let us know, because not everyone, can right from the get-go sit down with a pen and paper and footnotes and all that, but at least
has its place. I like listening also. So, and again, that's what drives a lot in my mind, because you can let your mind flow, but when you go to the very strong details, you want to go very slowly through your reading, because law is constructive, and just like the Bible is constructive, law is constructive, and the Bible is a law book, so it's constructive. Okay, we got to move on.
Yep.
All right, Frosine, good to see you again.
Yep.
All right, next person, Eric, you got the mic. What state you from?
Hi, I'm Eric from Kentucky.
Kentucky, you got the mic.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for all you do, John. I've taken all your classes, and well laid out, nice structure. I've learned a tremendous amount. And I'm interested in a jury administrator job. I know I need to fill out a vow and get that notarized and mail in. And
well, we changed that a while ago. Maybe I got to get the paperwork off the website. When you get involved with that, your vow needs to go into the Committee of Safety, not with us on a national level, because this should be local. In the beginning, we had written it that way, but we realized the error of our way. We shouldn't be controlling that. The people on the grassroots level need to be controlling that. And we have to take back the courts, which is what we're working on. So that's the first order of business in order to do what we're doing. And then we need people who are educating themselves to be able to take these positions, which is a paid position. It's a career position. We need four individuals in each county, plus we need a paralegal, and so there's 5 individuals for each county. Right now, lawyers handle this, but what we would be handling, or those people would be handling ultimately, of course, is educating or preparing the people coming in as jurors, whether it be grand jury or petit juries. We orientate them. We wrote a handbook for each one of those different jurists, and that's really the book that would be gone through. Each jurist would get a copy of that, but first you'd spend the day going through that handbook, educating the individuals on their powers and authorities, their power of nullification, what law actually is. It comes from the heart. It's written in the hearts of individuals. How our court system basically is structured for the knowledge of what business that they have to do. It's all in the handbooks for them. And then we've empowered them. And hopefully we've interested them in the idea of getting further education and maybe get involved in the committees of safety. So each county has 5 people. They're paid individuals working 40 hours a week, working out of the courthouse, and getting the lawyers away from these jurors and just have the people, which is the way it should be. Because bar attorneys, they just pollute the whole system, and they bring in this civil law, the law of the city, which is Babylonian law, and just destroy everything. They destroy our courts. They destroy the political process. They destroy our educational process. They've destroyed everything. All the woes of America comes from the Bar Association. And this is a hard nut to crack because most of the people in power are bar attorneys. And when you talk to these people, they shut you off right away because they know. And there's nothing more dangerous than ignorance in action, and their ignorance in action. And you know, it's not what you don't know that's going to hurt you. It's what you think you know and ain't so. That's what's going to get you. And that's what's getting these people. As soon as you start talking to them about the truth, it's so far from their reality. They shut you right down and they don't talk no more. So it's hard, you know. How do you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. And this is a problem. And that is one of the reasons why, first of all, we need to get rid of the Bar Association, and only the people can do that. One, to open it up to the people to be able to go into our courts, okay? And we have to bring the education back to the people to do these things. And without those things, we're not going to get anything done. So, all right. Any other questions or points you want to raise?
So I guess basically we need to start working towards committee of safeties to have these positions.
Right, and educate yourself now, because a person who's running for that position, who wants to take that position, let me go over here. We have the education starts here. And if you come down to just click on the courses, you'll see also a thing opens up on the side. You have to take all these courses. Okay, that's the requirement, because that's the knowledge you need in order to be able to perform the work as administrators of the juries. And now, of course, there's a handbook that I had put a lot of information. I haven't finished writing it yet, and you know, I got so many other things to do, and it's not a big necessity yet. But there's a handbook that's going to be put together that people will need, that they can refer to, and of course they can always come here to the national meeting to ask questions, and we can feed them information and answer whatever questions they have. If we don't have the answers, we'll find the answers. But you have to take all these courses. That's a requirement. And even if you don't finish those courses before going into the job, you need to be in the process of taking and finishing these courses. But you can't be uneducated. We can't stick people who don't.
Yeah. Well, I've taken all the courses except for I'm in court access right now, and I'm only 3 chapters or so into it. But everything else I've completed.
Right. Well, that's all you got to do, and then after that, or even before that or during this, you want to read the 2 handbooks, one on the petit jury and one on the grand jury, because that really opens up the job of what you're doing and what you need to make sure these people know and understand. And at some point,
to actually get the job, I mean, do I apply at a courthouse, or do I?
No. We're working on that. No, we need to take it over. We need to take it away from the Bar Association. Before we can do that, we first have to get courts of justice back. And of course, we've been working on that for many, many years. And right now we're working the best we can with this administration by giving them presentments. We've did presentments to the courts. We have indicted the entire federal judiciary. I know that sounds kind of nuts, but it really isn't, because they all got to go. They're all guilty of subversion. Every single one of them participated in the closing down of our courts of justice. every single one of them believe that we're under civil law, designed under Roman law. They don't understand we're not under that at all. We're under the Bible. We're under biblical law. We're under, really, we are fashioned as the Jews were fashioned in what is it, 1415?
1400, yeah, before.
Yeah, 14, I think it's 1400, yeah, because we went 400 years and then David. So 1400 BC. So that's what we're fashioned under. And these people don't know that. They don't even know. You know, they argue about, well, your separation of religion. They have no idea. We are a godly people. The king of our court is Jesus Christ. Religion is denominations trying to require, this particular doctrine or that particular doctrine. No, in government, we just have to represent, we have to just recognize the fact that the Bible is the law of the land ultimately. It is where we get our law, the laws of nature, and nature's God. Who is God but Jesus Christ, the God of the Bible, Jehovah? That's who God is. And so we have to lift God up. In our courtrooms, we've always had a lot of, things that are Christian things that you can see, statements and the Ten Commandments and so on. We've always had those things in the courts. I think they've tried to remove some of those things. But in any event, we have to acknowledge the incarnation, and if we don't acknowledge him, we don't get his blessings. You can't have a court of justice without a king, because man certainly can't be the king. It's got to be God. And that's why the people come in and they take that oath, and ultimately their oath should be to the governor of the universe. But they're to follow their hearts and rule on common sense. It's that simple. It doesn't get any, because that's what common law is. The law of the heart that God put into our hearts. Again, thou shalt not kill, you don't steal, you don't lie, and so on and so forth. It's really, we know when someone's rights have been violated, because we are here and we don't want to be violated either. And when someone's violated, we look at that. Common sense tells us, yeah, this person has been violated. We need to fix this problem. And how are we going to fix it? We're going to use our common sense. 12 people are going to get together and discuss this situation. And they're going to work out a solution and say, hey, this person needs to be compensated. Maybe that person needs to go to jail. The jail should be rare. It's the penalty is forcing the person to compensate the person that they injured, and therefore both really grow from that, and both have the opportunity to be repaired together. And this is who we are, but people don't know this, and that's the problem. They need to learn this stuff. So anyway. You got anything final? Because we got to move on. Oh, it's 11 o'clock already, so we're not going to get to everybody. So.
Yeah, no, that's it. Thank you for all the info, and I will look more into the Committee of Safety and then maybe try to get that rolling here in Kentucky. It doesn't seem like there's anything going here, so.
Yeah, well, let me just show real quick before we close down. Your education, everything in education is under here. Okay, this is. Yep. People should review this. You can start with clicking here and following the breadcrumb trails going through the education here. Okay. The other thing is, as far as getting involved with the political process, and that is the committees of safety, without the politics, you're not elected to it. You have an unalienable right to be participating in it. We're not limited to a certain number of people. We can have as many people as we want. Anybody who wants to join, they can join. Okay. But we go to start a committee of safety. This is everything under here that deals with that. And so start a committee of safety, just click on that and follow the breadcrumb trails. It's pretty much that simple. And a lot of information is in handbooks, videos, and tools right here on this page, right there. My computer's a little slow tonight. I don't know why. At least Firefox is. But anyway, handbooks, videos, and tools, that's where a lot of your information is. We got videos. This is a group of videos that talks about the process, okay? It's broken up into, I think, half-hour videos, okay? Covers all of the process of the Committee of Safety. And then we have how to organize a Committee of Safety. We have how to put your charter together, your resolutions to get a seal, the vows necessary to be taken, and in a two-sided folder in order to hand out to people in the community, try to get them involved. We have plans on how to grow your Committee of Safety. we got things organized and going. How to relate and connect with the sheriff, and how to bring the sheriff on board to be obedient to the Constitution. And in most cases, unless they're criminals, then you'll have to remove them. But most sheriffs are just ignorant. They just don't know, just like the people don't know. Okay, we have PowerPoints on this. We have MP4 videos on this. We've got PDFs on this. We got Microsoft Words on this. We have organizing instructional PDF documents. We have, Committee of Safety seminar instructions that people can run in order to get their committees of safety going and run a seminar. So we got tremendous amounts of information. Monthly meeting protocol, how it's structured, how it works, how it goes. Downloading some videos for the county meetings. You might want to play a video here, a video there to educate, to focus in, or a particular group might want to watch that and discuss it at a later time. You're broken up into different committees: an educational committee, a political committee, a judicial committee, a militia committee. You have a committee for everything. Okay, there's basically about 5 basic committees that every committee starts off with, but you will discover that you may have to create a committee for something individually for your county, for a problem, a situation, and sometimes it may only be for a period of time, and then that committee might dissolve because that problem is fixed. But there are certain committees that can be maintained all the time. Okay, so everything is here on this website, and again, many hands make light work. You got many minds working on this. You'll figure things out. You'll make some mistakes. You'll correct those mistakes. You'll grow. People will become experts in different areas. And once in a while, you'll find an individual who will be an expert in all the areas because they really dig down deep and they really want to understand everything. But most people may have an interest maybe in this area, maybe education committee, dealing with the problems in the schools within your county, bringing them under submission to the people's will, getting rid of the things that are demoralizing our children, bringing back patriotism into the school, the proper education, civics, Constitution, history, real history, American history in particular, who we are as a people, being a Christian nation. Got to get the Bible back into the schools. Taken out in 1963. Until 1963, the Bible was the centerpiece of our education. The centerpiece of our education. Okay, and our founding fathers put it there and said so. They didn't require it. They couldn't make a law to require it, but they put it up there, and they made some resolutions, and the school started out with a Bible, and that's what our education. That's why we're a morally minded people. That's why we're very different than any nation that's not Christian, and we should be more focused than even other nations that are somewhat Christian. So,
I do know that.
Yeah, go ahead. I hear Linda talking again. I guess I didn't block you out, but go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but make it quick because we're going to shut down in a minute.
I was just thinking about what was said, and I was thinking things like, I even said, you'd have to beware of hacking and, on the vote and everything. But as far as mob rule, those kind of things exist regardless,
Parties are mob rule. Parties is the epitome of mob rule. Political parties. That's the epitome of mob.
And if you get rid of parties, I don't know that that's any longer it's not
a party bosses. Look at, you have a block of Democrats. The Democrats are ruling against everything that is logical and that necessary for the people and makes the people's life easier, and they're blocking it. Every single one of them. It's not that they're stupid. It's the fact that they're controlled by a party boss, and maybe they've taken some money or done something.
Well, what I'm thinking is, even if you have one person, one vote, you're going to have attempts to, persuade the people. That's all there is to it,
Well,
and you would have to have guards against it, regardless.
You'll have conversations on our level, but they won't have that on their level. They're sent there to do a job. Particularly, look at the biggest problem we have is with the legislators, okay? And if the legislators maintained and focused on the Constitution, And if we had courts of justice between those two things, we would have a just government. So, but without that, we won't have. And look, Trump is working on this, and I'm really, in our paperwork, we're constantly trying to make that point. As a matter of fact, the next paper, I think, we're going to push a little heavy on that.
Well, what do you think could be done about that?
Just get rid of political parties. What do we need them for? My challenge is this. Okay, I've heard people who are intelligent people who've got a voice. Okay, that's out there in the marketplace, and lots of people hear them. And they truly believe that we need political parties, but they have not been challenged. I'd love to challenge them. You tell me one reason why we need a political party. What does it do for you? It doesn't do anything. Exactly. They can't defend it. There's absolutely no reason for it. We already gave them the orders. We ordained and established this Constitution for them to be obedient to. We've already given them their workload. Anything outside of that workload is none of their business to be.
But let me ask you something. If you don't have parties, don't you have one person, one vote?
Of course. And the person you send in is going to represent the people who send them. But bear in mind, look at these people. Most people that seek these positions are sociopaths or psychopaths. Most of them are, in my opinion, from what I see. Okay, what goes on? They speak with forked tongue.
Right.
And so look at
at least narcissists.
Yeah, well, that's the epitome of what they are then, because they're all self-focused and they want to fill their own pockets. But if they're watched and under control, you see, in order to really get something, someone can steal, but they're not going to steal millions and billions, okay? But you have to have a group of people working with you stealing. You have to have an organization, a criminal organization within that area of work that you're working, that political subdivision, maybe town or maybe county, whatever the case may be, the governor working with individuals and with monies. I mean, again, this is all fed through political parties, the control of everyone in the game. And that's the problem. If they wasn't there, there'd be very little criminal activity. There'd be some, because there always will be, but it'll be so little, and it wouldn't be as damaging as billions and billions and billions and possibly trillions of dollars.
And what people don't understand is people would live 150% better, more prosperous than they do with all this going on.
Of course. And if you teach morals to our children, if you teach our children not what to think, but how to think, you
civics.
Open their minds up to the different subjects, that things they need to know history. If you love to get into history and that's what you want to pursue as a career, something within history, a historian or something, well, that's fine. You do what you want to do. But you don't train a child what to think. You train a child on how to think. You train up a child on how they should act, and when they get older, they will not depart from that process, from that which they are trained and learned to do. I hate to put it this way, some people get upset, but it's like training a dog. You train a dog in a certain way, that dog's going to react in that way because that's the way it is. But we're all, to some degree, especially as young children, we got the minds of mush. We don't have much going on, and we're trying to learn and figure out what's going on, and we'll try to find our way through life. And then you go to school and you're taught about these great things like our founding fathers. You talk about the courts, the justice system, and who we are as a people, and who the king of the court is. And you taught all these things help to develop the mind of that child. And of course, they've been teaching our children, they've been demoralizing it. Putting tampons in boys' bathrooms, Tampon Tim, big thing out there in his Michigan state there. And you got,
well, he's gone. Sounds like he's gone.
Women, training our children, they don't even know what sex they are, and really confusing them. What business is that in schools? Only the people can stop that. We, the people, need to do that within our communities. And that's what the Committee of Safety is all about. And we need to teach our children, look, you've been born in a free state. You've got liberty. You've got opportunity.
Well, let
me finish this point. That child needs to understand all the blessings that they have. So as they come out of school, they understand it's your duty to give back. It's your duty to serve this country for 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it is. Even if it's in something local, the Coast Guard or something, whatever. It's your duty to get involved in in activities with your neighbors within your community, which is within your county. It's your duty to repair the problems in a particular school district and going there and forcing these people. There is a process to force these people to be obedient. We lay that all out in our information here on the website on how to.
Well, I'm all for committees of safety or something, that whole concept, but it's just so slow, coming. And
well, because they destroyed it. It was a fixture in this nation in the beginning. Our founding fathers were committees of safety. Paul Revere was a messenger of the Committee of Safety. I think Massachusetts. Okay,
but I'm just thinking that Trump should get Elon Musk to do a system, one person, one vote, and then I think that the people would feel more invested. They would just feel more they would be more likely to learn more about, I don't know, they just have more interest in it, because the way it is now, people don't understand it.
Well, uncoupled with education, it won't go anywhere, because people are just voting. Look, at one of the other big problems we have is the news. Okay, I don't know why they still have their licenses. I really, now that Trump's,
exactly,
I am surprised that they still. Maybe he needs to allow them to continue so that people can see more. But at some point, they need their licenses pulled, and I think he mentioned that at some point too. They need to go to jail because they have been yelling fire. Yelling fire in a theater. They've been yelling fire through the political process. They have been.
You cannot get the real news from them. You cannot.
Oh, you can. But we can have free and independent news back again if you apply what their purpose is, and because they got licenses. And once they start to bring forth their lies, I'm talking about lies, you pull their license and you give it to someone else. So again, and again, look at.
Well, you run into issues with free speech. That's the.
No, you don't. No, not if they're lying. No, when they make up lies like what they did with Trump by cutting things out and then saying he caused that event there on January 6th, and then they play these videos by cut pieces together and doesn't show the whole thing, that he didn't say that. Things like that, that's a lie. Those people should be in prison. That's yelling fire in a theater. That's yelling in a political process, okay? Because people die for those things. Because that's what's happening. People take to the streets, and we've had riots, and there's a lot more riots yet to come. It's coming to America.
Well, I'm well aware that the way it is because of the people that are getting paid off. The people that are making money on the way it is.
Right.
So that's a part of the problem. That's your.
People can see it. If they can see it, you have to construct the necessary structure to bring to a point where you can start taking this money and doing what they're doing. And in that process of building that structure, if people have the sight to see, because they have the knowledge to know their powers and the powers that they don't have, they'll see it from the beginning. It'll be snuffed out. Look at. Committees of safety created this nation. Every one of our founding fathers belonged to a committee of safety. The Committee of Safety brought the revolution. The Committee of Safety formed the First Continental Congress. The Committee of Safety formed the Second Continental Congress. The Committee of Safety ruled from a federal level during the war and made all the decisions necessary. They became a sort of a government.
And see, I'm not. When you talk about that, I'm not completely clear on this whole thing. Are you saying that the committee's safeties no longer exist, basically?
Right. They statutarized it. They call it the Committeeman. It's political parties. That's what the committees of safety became.
So they're just all in bed. They're all one and the same, all in bed with each other.
They're run by party bosses. Look at. When you first go, anybody who starts to get a little bit involved, they're always looking for people. Usually a neighbor or a friend might be in it, or someone you meet. Say, hey, come on to one of our meetings, And it becomes a little party thing, you get out with the guys or the girls or whatever the case may be,
Mm-hmm.
and you do things, events in the summer and all this stuff, so there's a lot of happiness there. But really it's the party bosses working in the background. They get you to walk the papers, which is the petitions to put these people onto the ballot, because that's what the committeemen do. But they're supposed to be doing a lot more than that. They're supposed to be out there educating the people. They're supposed to be out there wooing the people into the process to get involved. They're supposed to be out ensure that the school is teaching the proper things, that you have civics and the Constitution and the law is being taught in the schools, and morality is being taught, that we're not demoralizing our children. We need to make sure that the local government is not abusing the people or abusing the process or injuring us. We have to control our governor and our legislators within our states. This is what the committees of safety do. Okay? You know, U.S. versus Williams, the grand jury is referred to as a kind of fourth branch of government, but it's the overseer of all of the branches. They're the ones that put people in and take people out. Okay.
But where it stands now, is that there are no committees of safeties who have the power that they should have, right?
Right. We're building them, and we're trying to get the people educated and more involved. And one of the problems we have, we have, right now we have 11,859 members, okay? Now, and most of those people, you know, like any other organization, they get involved a little by little here, they do this, but they don't really get involved, most people, unfortunately. We need to get critical mass. Critical mass means to get our message out to millions. If we get our message out to millions, we will draw in the right kind of people and enough people to take this nation back from the grassroots up. Now, Trump is taking it from the upper end down, and the people need to be ready to receive it, otherwise it'll just be lost again. If the people don't maintain it, Trump's going to die, his administration's going to move on, and government eventually is going to become corrupt again, and the people, if they continue to be blind, they're just going to lose their liberty again, and next time we won't have a Trump to save us.
Right. I'm real worried about that. I'm not all in with J.D. Vance. I think that the American people always like a president who has some lived experiences, you know, and somebody.
Well, J.D. Vance, I think, is a really good individual. I think he's
very smart, very wise, but he's young. And I'm not sure.
He's being trained by the best teacher you can find in this system and in this process, and that's Donald Trump. His entire administration is being trained by Trump to see things a different way, to take care, to solve problems instead of keep pushing them on to the end, to get rid of the corruption, to do the right thing. Rubio, okay, he's one of the best, my favorite.
He's another young one though. They're both pretty young. I'm concerned about the age factor.
When you say pretty young, I think they're both in their 40s. I think to become the president, you have to be. I don't remember whether it's 35. I think it's 35 years old to be run for the president. The youngest president we ever had was Kennedy. He was
how old was he?
I think he was 37, something like that, 38.
Oh, okay, all right.
And so these guys are in their 40s, and most of these people are highly educated individuals. You can tell, you listen to them, they talk, you can tell that they're educated. They know what they're talking about. They understand the processes and they're learning. And every time they go through a different part of the process, especially in administration, okay, they're learning more and more and more and more and more. And they're being taught by the master, so to speak. You know, Trump is really the master here in this kind of a situation. He's bringing it back. And these people will pass it on, and so on and so forth. Our founding fathers came together and educated each other, you know. The primary focus of education ultimately was done, the alarm sounder was Benjamin Franklin. He was the one who really got this whole thing going and started, and he was the elder. But you got Jefferson and Madison. They were probably two of the most important individuals that put this nation together. Okay.
Right.
And but then you have the other founding fathers. They all got educated in the same way because they educated themselves. Jefferson would read about this, he'd share with them, and everybody would look at. They start reading and look at this. Blackstone and they developed together. Okay, that's what's happening right now. okay? But it always gets lost unless the people get involved. Jefferson kept saying this. Yeah, the people. There's no place you can put the power and the authority in other than the people. That requires education and involvement on a grassroots level. Watching, seeing, controlling, recalling, putting people into office that are good, calling them up when, when a party boss calls someone up, let's take that away and bring it to the Committee of Safety. The chairman of the Committee of Safety calls an individual that we put into power under that political subdivision, maybe a legislator on a federal level that came out of that subdivision. We walked the papers, we got them into office, and they break their oath, and they violate the Constitution. They're going to get a call, and that call is going to come from the chairman or the co-chairman, and they're going to say, hey, look, we need to talk. We're going to meet on Monday, or how's Wednesday or Thursday? We'll get on the phones because we got a lot to talk to you about. And then you tell them the woes of their ways, the things that they're doing wrong. Fix it, or we're taking you out of office. And they will fix it. Because if a party boss, because right now this is controlled by party bosses, you're doing too good work, you're for the people too much, you better stop that. Get back to the status quo, or we're going to pull you out. That's the way it works. You got the evil working the same way that the good could be working to bring it back under the chains of the country.
So your I don't know what your own idea or whatever is the way to get rid of parties is to reinstate the committees of safety, which takes away away the party's power.
The people will get rid of it. They will look at. I can tell you for a fact. I personally know these things. These statutory committeemen, which is supposed to be the committees of safety, but these statutory committeemen have high attrition rates. I know because people go in, they have good intentions, and after a year or two or three, they start to realize, wait a second, I'm a sucker here. These votes, they keep counting these votes in the background. They got these people coming in with all of these other votes coming in. We think it's going one way and it goes another way. The status quo always maintains the process and the structure and getting the people into the office that they want to get in office that will benefit them and work with them. I'm talking about the thieves, the psychopaths. And this is the problem, okay? But if you don't have that, then it don't exist. Corruption will be on a very small level. One person here or two or three people there. Not half of the political process, all of the Democrats, because right now all of the Democrats...
But how would a committee of safety not descend into that? How would they be supported?
Because you have to stand on principles. You have to take an oath. We gotta monitor each other. We write about all this. You should read the handbooks and go through the whole process. We got all this information up on the website already. Okay, but you got to go.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering about the reality of it.
Well,
what support?
Is very simple. When you have people working together, you get together. You start off with. I like Bible reading better than prayers. I think it's much safer too because sometimes people pray amiss and really, So Bible reading is the safest thing in my opinion. So you have Bible reading. You're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Okay. You have all of these different committees. You're focused in on fixing the problems. Okay. We're monitoring each other. And even when I was in like the Ron Paul movement and then working through the committeeman process, trying to separate from the statutory committeemen until we really eventually came to understand how we're structuring it now. But the thing is during that time period, we'd get some people, like we've had some people coming in, all of a sudden they came 2 or 3, maybe 4 of them into a meeting, and all of a sudden everything's the Jews' faults. And we cut them out real quick. They never came back again. Okay? You see, if the people are coming in a proper way, morally minded, you're not going to bring prejudice into it to begin with. You're not going to bring, and if you're Christian and you're holding up Christian morals and you're getting Christian morals back into the school, then you're not going to have this problem. You will have someone who will try to move it that way. They will be seen who they are, and they will eventually leave because we won't allow them to become empowered in any way. I do believe it's possible, but of course there will always be some problems. And again, psychopaths, sociopaths seek powerful positions, and that's what we have to watch out for. They will reveal themselves. Okay, it doesn't take long. All of a sudden, something will come out real strange. You know, the psychopaths, they can't even figure out because they don't really have a conscience. They lack feelings, and that'll show eventually. Okay, the sociopaths, you know, they could have a conscience. If I understand it right, you know, there are people that lean towards sociopath or psychopath, but they're not a psychopath in the sense that they weren't necessarily born that way. They were, you know, their environment pretty much did most of the creation of that. And I suppose maybe those people could be fixed too, because they still have a conscience and they still have feelings, you know. So, all right, we got to shut down because it's really, really late.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, then. Yes.
Good night,
a
everybody.
Nice program. Good night.
We'll see you next Monday, and anybody interested, we have our Bible program studies, a third part of, goodness, I forget the title of the study we're doing right now. But anyway, it's the third part, and it's Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here in this room if you're interested. We also post them up on Rumble and YouTube. Okay, good night, everybody.